right. All right. Hello, everybody. Hello. It is the Yellow Card Podcast, episode 64. It is your boy Diego and Chris with us this evening. Chris, how you doing, sir?
Good. I'm in my new fit. It feels nice, you know. Never walk alone, baby.
Yeah, I'm in my new fit too over here. Little Manchester United warm-up jacket. It's pretty damn warm actually, especially with how cold it is right now here in Boston. It's pretty warm. So I got the sick little hookup here, and not hating a single second of it. So I'll tell you that. But anyways, episode 64. Got a lot to talk about real quick here. Not a lot of action happening this week, obviously, because of a few topics that we'll be talking about. But before we get started with the episode 64 of the Yellow Card Podcast here, we are presented to you by Couch Guy Sports and sponsored by our friends over at It's So Gone and Shocked Energy. I almost forgot about Shocked Energy. Wow. Shocked Energy, use the code CGSN as in Couch Guy Sports Network. Get 10% off if you order today. If you're ever out of energy, just tired, low on focus, or just need a little energy boost, you guys over at Shocked Energy will take care of you for that. Feel free to order. They ship worldwide. They got you
worldwide.
Exogun, same exact deal. They ship worldwide. Use the code CGS10 for 10% off if you order. If you're looking to just relax at home and the sofa, have a little percussion therapy, these massage gun therapy technologies that are breaking out these days, Exogun leading the aspect right now, and an absolute wonder of a product. So ladies, if you're looking to treat your man for a last minute Christmas gift, head over to exogun.com, CGS10. Fellas, same exact thing for you ladies. They deserve the same treatment. But anyways, so Yellow Card 64.
What are we, Nintendo 64? Jesus.
Nintendo 60, yeah, the Nintendo episode. We should name it that, actually. The Nintendo episode. I like that. But man, much like Nintendo, we can't seem to move on from this subject that we're gonna start talking about here. And it's none other than an unfortunate health crisis that we're all dealing with it worldwide, because it's not just one country, one region of the world right now. It's just a worldwide outbreak again. It's this COVID variant known as Omicron, which is just taken over like wildfire. And
Omarion.
We've seen a
this
lot of
ice box where my heart used to be. Right?
Do you want us to get canceled?
It's Omarion, right? Oh no, my bad. Sorry. Go ahead.
I don't even know how you're still employed in this podcast, but that's a conversation for later on with HR. But anyways, I mean, I'm just glad you didn't pull out the DVD like you did on Suplex Biddies, which, by the way, shout out to Suplex Biddies.
No, I'm good. I don't have those, unfortunately.
I'm still working on that Jergens sponsorship, so who knows? Maybe we'll be looking silky smooth for episode 65. But anyways, so COVID outbreak happening all around the world right now. The Premier League right now dealing with it, probably the worst out of any league right now around the world in terms of sports. So we've seen a variety of games get postponed. I think just this past week, we had about 8 matches that were scheduled, and I think out of the 8, maybe we saw 4 happen, if that. It's been absolutely insane what's been going on here with COVID. So let's get some takes going on. You know, I'll start with Liverpool, who had a little bit of a rough game against Tottenham just yesterday, 2-2 score with a red card going on Liverpool's side as well, which is going to affect for the next game. That's Andrew Robinson, a red card.
Outrageous one, by the way.
Oh, absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. I have my takes on that game too. But let's get started with you. What's going on, you know, in your mind in terms of Liverpool? How is this COVID outbreak starting to hurt some of what Liverpool has going on for themselves.
I mean, so right now it's really like Jordan Henderson is the big one. Like Thiago missed last week, missed the game yesterday with an illness that wasn't COVID-19 related. So the midfield was already a little bit banged up. But I mean, listen, they did a good job. They contained Tottenham for the most part. I mean, you give up 2 goals. Obviously, there's no other people to give it up to than Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. You were also up at one point, 2-1. So it's not like they were. It's not like they would. And Antonio Conte's side was just running over them. No, I mean, listen, you had Milner, Timmy Morton, right? No, it's Tyler Morton. Excuse me. Jesus, what a mistake on my part. And then Naby Keita in your midfield yesterday.
Yep.
So obviously it wasn't a great midfield to have, but I mean, you give up the other girl to Harry Kane. Jota comes and ties it before they have 1-1 in the half. Robertson scores in the 69th minute. 5 minutes later, Song scores. But what really caught me by surprise a little bit is this 5-3-2 that Tottenham's been running.
Yeah,
I kind of like it for them, only because you've got Harry Kane and Heung-min Son as your 2 strikers, and then you can play guys like Dele Alli on the wing, in a sense, in the midfield that can play the wing. There's no like specific spot for him to go. He can play from like here to here, in a sense. So for Tottenham, I like it. I mean, listen. With Liverpool, they're just going to run the same formation over and over again. They're not going to change anything. The 4-3-3, it's how Jurgen Klopp's going to die. But for Tottenham, I mean, looking at Tottenham's side, he gives a little more freedom to guys like Lucas Moura and Steven Bergwijn and Giovanni Lo Celso when they play. So moving forward, I'm curious to see how Tottenham's side matches up with some of the better teams in the club for the Premier League. But for me, I mean, listen, to come out with a point yesterday after not having 2 of your top midfielders, I consider that a win. I understand, you still have your 3 strikers, should be all right. Cool, but it was a very tricky game yesterday. A lot of yellow cards were given. The red card wrongfully given to Andy Robertson should have went to Harry Kane earlier on, but I'm trying. Who was the ref yesterday? It was Paul Tierney, which is the big reason why I went off the rail. But It was definitely not good, especially because Tottenham's only beaten Liverpool once in their last 18. I think they're 1. I think they're 1-5-12 in those 18 games. So it hasn't been a successful little stint for Tottenham. But I mean, Liverpool, they played well for the most part. Just got to focus. You got Leeds coming up, and then you get the transfer window coming up in January, which is something we'll get into a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the COVID outbreak right now, I think every team right now is seriously hurting. Starting lineups are getting affected back and forth. Your reserves are getting affected back and forth as well, and vaccination status is something that a lot of teams are looking into right now to see what they can do to kind of help that up. I mean, obviously it is to the players, discretion, whether they want to be vaccinated or not. Everybody has their motives. We'll respect that as well. But I think overall, just seeing how fast this broke out, I'm really, really, really just shocked that the Premier League didn't suspend majority of these games for the next 3 weeks and give every single team an opportunity to get things a little bit more managed, because the outbreak is just insane at this point. Going off of that, looking at that game between Tottenham and Liverpool yesterday, Jurgen Klopp made some comments after the game that I thought for myself, when you're coaching the second or third best team in the world right now, not just the Premier League, in the world, I gotta be honest, the last thing you should be looking for is excuses. Your reserves are good, your bench is real solid, and your starters are insane. They're an insane talent right now. What happened for Tottenham is the fact that they were able to postpone a couple of games, so they had that extra leverage there to be able to be a little bit more rested, a little bit more compressed, so that they will be able to perform like they did. It's not a matter of having Son and Kane running wild, like like if they're riding bikes on the sidelines. It's not a matter of that, because if realistically we're talking about the sidelines, I mean, just look at your formation yesterday in terms of Liverpool sideline wise. You could have controlled it with Milner. You could have controlled it with Robertson. You could have controlled it with Keita, Matip, Trent. Heck, even Mo Salah. And Mo Salah is quick as he can be. So it's really not a concern about the sidelines at all with Kane and Son running wild on those two aspects. It's more of a new approach to Tottenham's pace and game. We heard a couple of weeks ago, Antonio Conte made a clear statement about Tottenham overall. Their physical levels are not there. Their playing levels are not there either. So there's a lot of work to go there for Conte, but already switching their mindset to a 5-3-2 formation. We're so used to these attacking formations of 3-5-2, 4-3-3, maybe even 4-3-1-2s across the league, that we really haven't seen much of a different approach in a 5-3-2 formation like Conte is providing here. But it gives so much freedom to players like Emerson, Eric Dyer, Ben Davis, Dele Alli.
Eric Dyer, yuck.
Yeah, you can say yuck and all, but I mean, honestly, he's their center back right now alongside of Davinson Sanchez and Ben Davis, and he did a solid job last night. He really did. Then you see guys like Harry Winks, who you expect to be a good center defensive mid. He did just that. He was able to, put the brakes on the attacks by Milner, Keita, and Diogo Jota. He was able to do that well to a certain extent, because Jota still scored, which not surprising there at all. But altogether, I mean, this is impressive by Tottenham. I gotta say, a 2-2 tie to easily what could easily be a Champions League winner this year is impressive. Tagging alongside of that, for Tottenham, there's a huge advantage right now too. If you look at statistically down the table, they are one of the teams with the most games behind. They got about 3 games behind everyone else. So realistically, if things were to hold on as they are today, you could see Tottenham being in 4th place right now with 34 points, which with Antonio Conte at the helm, I mean, you can't be upset at that. That at least if you were at 4th place and the league ended today, you've booked yourself a ticket to the Champions League, which you haven't been in there since the Pochettino era. So if you're Tottenham fans right now, you should be optimistic. I love the Antonio Conte approach right now, just being very honest and drawing low expectations on this team, as he should, just because the form is just technically not there. Dele Alli still needs to be more confident about his the way he carries his game and all that stuff. But for Tottenham, this is looking very sharp. For teams like United, Aston Villa, Norwich City, who all just got new managers, this outbreak is really difficult to be dealing with. This impacts their momentum. All those 3 teams just started to gain some momentum going. Norwich has gone win, a couple of draws here, a couple of losses there, but nothing too shaky. Still at the bottom of the table. There's a lot of work to be done there, but I believe Dean Smith is doing whatever he best can with this team with the options that he's given. Aston Villa, I mean, without a doubt, one of the best teams right now performing. 2 losses, 2 wins, 3 wins in the Gerrard era. So that's pretty solid. And for United, I mean, 2 wins, a tie, and a loss. It's not bad at all. Not bad at all. But whatever momentum these managers have going on right now, it's absolutely killed by this outbreak. So you kind of have to wonder, what are some contingency plans being put in place? So, so that come moment of action. These guys are ready to go physically and not, just being over rested and way too tired afterwards. There's serious concerns with this COVID outbreak. So, like I said earlier, I'm really shocked that the league hasn't suspended games. I get it. There's the financial aspect and the financial concern of things there. But if you're that financially concerned, you really shouldn't be, considering that you just renewed your partnership with Barclays again until 2025. So right now, I think the concern should be prioritizing your players and making health be the priority at modern day right now. This is just wild. So that does it for the COVID. For me, that does the COVID outbreak for me. But
last take for me. I mean, the fact that there's only 77% of the players that have 2 doses of the vaccine in the English Premier League shows that there's a little bit of a problem with that. So they have to get these guys on board rather quickly, because it's more than 90 in the Italian and the Spanish leagues. Yeah. Which, again, if you're on one of these top teams and you're not vaccinated, and all of a sudden, the UCL comes around, you get COVID, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So you might want to get what's the word I want to say here? You might want to get on the train and work your way there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, so
that'd do it for me.
That does it for the COVID outbreak. But now let's talk about the UCL, because that's also quickly approaching as well. And there's
what a blunder!
Love the blunder. I absolutely love the blunder.
That was the best part of the whole thing, was that blunder.
Yep.
I mean, we can just dive into these matchups. I think these matchups now might be a little bit better than what it was originally.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't get in what right mind the Champions League goes ahead, hires a third party that has never even been involved in football to begin with. Never.
Mm-hmm.
To handle something of such a high profile and expect that it wasn't going to get done well. That to me, immediately, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me.
It happened. Move on.
I'm speechless on that one.
Happened. Move on. I like 3 of these matchups really much.
Yeah.
Couple of them I already know what's going to happen, so it's not like. But 3 of them I honestly have no idea. You want to dive into them?
Let's dive into them. Why not?
You want to go one that's kind of not great, or you want to do just dive in on how I'm looking at it at the moment?
Let's just dive in as is.
All right, let's do it. First one. PSG Real Madrid. Messi versus, it was supposed to be Messi versus Ronaldo again, but that got canned due to the blunder. But we get PSG and Real Madrid, Sergio Ramos potentially against his former club if he's healthy enough to play. What do you think of this one? Because this to me is one of the interesting ones.
I mean,
between 2 legs, and also don't forget, this year the away goal aggregate is no more.
Oh, that's right. So where's the first leg between these two again?
PSG,
and then we go over to
Madrid.
Okay. Honestly, I like it a lot. So for starters, this matchup happening at Parc des Princes, I love it a lot, because now that Sergio Ramos has moved over to Parc des Princes, I kind of like the rhythm that he could be getting into now that he's finally starting to wear back, into football after all these injuries that he sustained. I'm sure that PSG has been taken by surprise by all these injuries that the guy has been dealing with. They probably expected far more usage out of this guy than anybody else, and they haven't really been able to utilize him as much. So that first matchup, I think it's interesting. I think going home though to Bernabeu, I think it's important for PSG to be able to maintain the lead. because if they're not, for Real Madrid, man, especially for somebody like Tony Cruz or Vinny Jr., who, by the way, Vinny Jr. has been in insane form. That guy is easily right now a top 10 player in the world, in my opinion. Frankly, this game could be one of those that is decided by penalties, in my opinion.
Listen, it's just funny to me because now, I was looking into this matchup, and did you know that it looks like Kylian Mbappe is going to be headed to Real Madrid?
I know, which is wild, man, because Real Madrid gave up Sergio Ramos, a massive club legend. But at this point, it also looks like Kylian Mbappe, a massive club legend for PSG, could be moving to the opponent. So it's a Royal Rumble like no other.
What I've read is that it looks like they're going to wait out the two legs out of respect for one another.
Okay.
So let Mbappe play, and then if a new deal gets done, then it's not going to be until like March. But still, it's another thing to add on to this. I mean,
yep.
Like we could be looking at both of these teams could be completely different come the January transfer window as well. So there's just so much we don't know about this. But based off these matchups right now, the trio up front, it's going to be hard for Real Madrid to stop. And Mbappe, Messi, and Neymar. I mean, I know Neymar is banged up right now, but I think he'll be healthy by the time that this first leg will start, which will make it a little bit more intriguing on my aspect. But I think even just Mbappe and Messi, it's going to be hard for Real Madrid to stop. I like PSG in this one. At home, excuse me, I think they would comfortably at home. I think they win by two, by at least two. Real Madrid has to catch up 2 at home. I think Real Madrid wins that second game by only 1, and PSG moves on.
Interesting. Okay. It all depends on how these teams look come February.
But we're just gonna give you a preview right now based on what these teams look like.
But something tells me right now though that Real Madrid could be moving on here. I mean, the chemistry, just the sheer chemistry in that midfield line, nevertheless, having somebody like Benzema and Asensio at top form again, it's something that PSG shouldn't treat very lightly at all. I get that they have good defense and all, but doesn't matter. These guys are able to have long shot range as well. They've proven it time over time. And if you let Luka Modric and Tony Cruz cook, that is a dangerous formula to be dealing with. You could literally have all the defenders of Manchester City combined with the midfield Liverpool, and you would still not be able to handle that threat.
I agree.
So I personally have Real Madrid moving on this one. I think that if they manage to tie it up at home against PSG, like away in France, and bring it home to close the deal, they move on.
I agree with you 100% with that. But I just think PSG is just going to beat them at home.
I will hope so. I mean, they should.
We'll see. All right, next one we get Sporting and Man City. This one's self-explanatory. Sporting is a gritty team, don't get me wrong, but City right now is just world-class talent from top to bottom. It looks like it's got a couple guys they could potentially be moving on from in the transfer window, but I still think this team, excuse me, is going to be an absolute wagon. Roll through us. I think City wins in aggregate, I'd say like 6-2 over Sporting.
Okay. I like Sporting as well. I think that they're a very good, gritty team. I think for Manchester City, though, the January transfer window could spell success or could spell disaster. Ruben Diaz has been rumored to be heavily linked with, I believe, Barcelona. Joao Cancelo.
That would be a loss for City.
Joao Cancelo is another one that's heavily considered to be moved.
Those are two big losses from
two big names right there. Manchester City hasn't been linked in bringing anybody in for January, so that worries me a little bit. I know that Erling Haaland is technically a name that is popping up, but Erling Haaland is tied to every single top tier team right now. Manchester United, Manchester City, Real Madrid, Bayern, like all these other teams. Right now, Erling Haaland it's just a rumor altogether. Personally, in my opinion, I don't until the next 2 weeks when we see more of a clearer picture as to where Erling Haaland could be going if he actually is deciding to leave Dortmund. Um, I don't speak on where he could be headed, honestly. But I do like Manchester City altogether, though. Their attack is, I think, it's going to be way too much for this sporting team. I do see a potential blowout here in both sides. So I think, away Manchester City has an opportunity to win 3-1, 3-2 maybe. But at home, it's another story, man. The Etihad is a theater of their dreams, really. And it's more of like a 4-0 win over there. So this is an unfair matchup for Sporting, in my opinion.
I agree. Move on to the next one. RB Salzburg and Bayern. More of the same here. I think Bayern's just too tough. Lewandowski's just on another plane right now. I think Bayern wins in aggregate. I'd say 7-1, honestly.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
I think they're gonna steamroll Salzburg.
Yeah, I mean, Salzburg has been intriguing to me because at first I thought that they were definitely out of this altogether. And all of a sudden they were in. So it's a surprise to me, but I do agree. Bayern right now it's a team of their own stratosphere. In my opinion, easily a top 5 team in all of Europe. I agree. I think this is another blowout win.
Move on to the next one. Inter versus an EPL team that I wish was Chelsea, but it's not because I would love to see Lukaku go against that team. But it's Inter and Liverpool here. I'll let you start off here with this one.
All right. So I like this matchup a lot because it's a matchup between creativity and ball contention. Creativity, obviously, from the Liverpool side, but ball contention from the Inter side, who often try to play a little bit more defensive than anything and try to contain the ball in their midfield unless they have a streaky opportunity to attack. I think that's where this COVID outbreak is a dangerous thing for Liverpool, because as more and more COVID cases happen and more of these players have to fight back to get into the form that they were in previously, you're going to have to readjust your game plan defensively. And this here could give an opportunity to somebody like Inter to take advantage of and penetrate that weakness. On Inter's side, though, I think that the triple threat attack by Liverpool, it's just way too much to handle for them. Handanovic is just not a keeper in my mind that I think I fully trust. Those mistakes, those careless mistakes, can easily happen. I'm not super sold on Inter, so I'm gonna give this win here to Liverpool, but I think for Liverpool it's extremely important that the health of the majority of their staff stays intact. That's the main goal here for Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, I just think for me moving forward, I think for this especially, we saw how well they matched up against a team like AC Milan. Inter Milan's kind of similar in a sense. They have a little bit more creativity, I think, than AC Milan, but I feel like Inter in anything further than the group stage, I think, is just a blunder waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think what's his name, Inzaghi.
Yeah.
I don't think Inzaghi's going to be ready for what Jurgen Klopp has planned for him here, especially because I don't trust their defense to be able to stop that 3 to 4 headed monster up front in Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, Diego Jota, or Roberto Firmino.
Yep.
So I think Liverpool's going to move on here, and I think this is a little bit more of a favorable draw because originally we were set to take on Salzburg, and I was a little worried because Salzburg's a gritty team, but Inter I feel a little bit more confident. I think Liverpool will move on. I'll say 4-2 in aggregate.
Okay.
Next one I think is this. This is an interesting one.
Yeah.
It's Chelsea and Lille, however you say it.
Lil.
Oh. Lille and Chelsea. I think Lille's going to play Chelsea very tough. I think Chelsea is not heavy dominated on the Champions League this year. I think they won last year. I think they're a little bit more focused in the EPL and winning that title this year. But if there's anybody that knows how to stop a French side like this, it's going to be Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah.
So I think this is in Chelsea. I think they win 2-1, and then Lille is going to win. I'll say 1-0. Go in extra time in Lille, and I think Chelsea's going to move on with penalties here. That's what I know.
Okay, I like that. I think for Lille, this matchup is really not that favorable at all. Currently in their internal league, LOSC is sitting in 11th place. While they've won a couple of games, majority of them they have managed to tie them, which is really not that convincing. I think if you are going with the same exact motto versus a Chelsea side, that's just a very risky play. You can't go with the hopes of getting a tie at home and hoping to win away, especially against Chelsea. So for me personally, I see this more of a 4-1 victory altogether for Chelsea. I think that team is just way too much to handle. And like you said, if there's anybody that's really good against French sides, it's somebody like Thomas Tuchel, especially with his experience having been, the head manager of PSG.
I agree. Next one, Villarreal and Juventus. This is another interesting one in my opinion.
Yeah.
Juventus, the side, they're just a giant. I don't know what to expect of this team, man. There's rumors that Matthias De Ligt could be leaving for one of the big clubs. Weston McKennie potentially on the move. They got too many moving pieces. I don't know. I'm waiting, especially for this Juventus team to take off, but it just since the loss of Ronaldo, it just seems like this team is not the same team. And Massimiliano Allegri hasn't really done much right now, but I'm curious to see what the transfer window looks like. That's a big one. But for right now, I think Villarreal might have a little bit of the edge on them. I think Villarreal would win in aggregate 3-2.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, right now, I don't think managerially this is something that you can blame on Massimiliano Allegri.
No.
You don't really have that many pieces to work with. Realistically, second of that, you're dealing with financial issues at the club level. There's a lot of potential pieces that could be getting moved here. So, if Juventus is really sharp in the transfer window, they could have a potential win in this game. But as things stand right now, I think Gerard Moreno is way too much of a threat for that Juventus defense. I really like how he's been playing. I think of when I think of Villarreal, I think often their goalie has been real sharp. Rulli has been real sharp. Pau Torres is heavily involved in majority of the times. This is a team that has a lot of composure to win against Juventus. So right now, I'm actually saying that Villarreal can kick out Juventus out of this round.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things I'm looking at it and like, I hate to say it, but I just think that it just makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, next one, Benfica and Ajax. This is one or two things is going to happen. Either Ajax is going to roll over them like they've done to everybody in the Champions League they played, or Benfica is going to play them really, really tough. So with that being said, I think Ajax is going to roll over them, unfortunately.
I like it. See, I think the first leg, Benfica will play them very, very tough, especially in front of their home audience. I mean, the Portuguese side has a very good audience that can get very loud, and that could be distracting to Ajax. So I think at home they have an advantage of potentially winning 2-1. It's a way where they are extremely vulnerable, and I think that's where Ajax capitalizes and wins 3-0 away. With that said, obviously Ajax moves on to the next round, and I do like Benfica a lot. I think they have been a very sharp team, even despite getting absolutely handled by Dortmund in their group. Benfica still is it's a threat. So,
all right, last one. Atletico Madrid and Manchester United. This one,
I love everything about it. Love everything about
it. This is going to be content that soccer needs.
Yeah,
100%. I think this matchup, getting Ralph Rangnick versus Diego Simeone, I think is going to be one of the more tactical matches that we'll see from any coaches ever, especially in the Champions League right now. So I'm curious to see how both of these sides play out. Atletico's been a little bit down lately. You know, they played well in the Champions League, but in their domestically, they're not looking too hot. Man United, you know, since Ragnick's come in, has looked a little bit better. I think moving forward, we got to give United some respect, and they're still my picks to win. So I think United. I think they draw at Atletico. I think they draw 1-1, and then I think United win 2-0 at Old Trafford and move on. So I like United to move on here.
This is a matchup for the ages. I mean, for Diego Simeone, this is a nightmare come alive, especially dealing with Cristiano Ronaldo, because if there's anybody that has been able to score hat tricks against his side in his whole entire career has been Cristiano Ronaldo. The one time where Diego Simeone tried to think that he had the leverage and was moving on and was ready to knock out Real Madrid, Cristiano Ronaldo turned around, basically said, no, that's not going to happen, and showed him who really has the balls in that matchup. Altogether, like you mentioned, it's a battle between a strategy, philosopher like Rangnick versus somebody who's trying to develop a new game in Diego Simeone. So I like the battle a lot. And another key factor that people tend to forget, thanks to Atletico Madrid, is why Manchester United has David De Gea, which a lot of people tend to forget because Atletico gave up on him at a very young age. Probably one of their biggest mistakes too as a club. But altogether,
that's another thing. The goalie matchup: Jan Oblak versus David De Gea.
Yeah, Jan Oblak has been rumored to want to move to Manchester United. David De Gea has been linked to a move in Madrid to possibly Real. So it's a good matchup. I think realistically, though, I think for United, the biggest edge here is that January transfer window, because there are rumors of big names being sent off either on permanent deals that will open up financial room for United to make one big splash move altogether, or be able to bring somebody on loan from another team. So if United can manage to unload people like Anthony Martial, Jesse Lingard, and a couple others that have been rumored to be moved on from the club, including, nevertheless, Dean Henderson, this United team could potentially be looking to do some serious damage come the January transfer window. They're one of the teams that are rumored with Erling Haaland. So if Haaland comes to United with Ronaldo right next to him, that is an absolute disaster coming to Atletico to handle. I think if the team stay like it is, United still has a huge edge over Atletico. That physicality that Manchester United brings in their center defensive mids is a total pest for Simeone's style of play. So I'm giving it to United here to move on for sure.
Yeah. All right. I'll do it for Champions League.
Yep.
Any other thing we want to talk about before
I mean, we
we
teased
conclude
up.
64?
Yeah, I mean, we teased up quickly the January transfer window. So, name me one hot move that you can potentially see happening here.
One hot move. I mean, it just stinks because it involves my team, but it's Jude Bellingham coming to Liverpool. That's my hot move.
I like it. I think my one hot move is that Barcelona managed to get Ferran Torres from Manchester City.
Okay.
Which, if that happens, that's again another big loss for City because Ferran is extremely unique.
I'll give you another big one, and it doesn't have to do with my team. I think Chelsea's going to get a big one here, and it's the lineup with our boy up front, Lukaku. I think we're getting, ready for this? A transfer with some money going back the other way. Timo Werner to Dortmund, Erling Haaland to Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is with Timo Werner, he's been rumored to be going more than likely to Manchester United, which I hate that move. We don't need Timo Werner. We don't.
No. I think he would be better in a German league.
Yeah, I mean, the other move that I can think of as well is actually and potentially replacing Paul Pogba at Manchester United because Paul Pogba still hasn't renewed his contract, and with Mathis Delete looking to leave Juventus, I mean that's number one, a cheaper value. It's a younger value.
But he's a center back though. He's not a center defensive mid.
He's a center back, which United also needs center backs because let's keep in mind, Rafael Varane has also been injury prone, and Harry Maguire is not very reliable. After that, your two options are Victor Lindelof and Eric Bailly, which that's really it. Well, meanwhile, if you manage to do that trade, you still are able to offer Jesse Lingard an actual role within the organization where Lingard can actually step into that role for Pogba while still offering a cheap version of a center back in Mathis Delete. So that's one move I can see happening.
I'm not against it, but again, we could do this on and off. Like we could just keep going. But
yep.
But it's better for the viewers that we don't. Save it.
Yes,
we'll save it. We'll save it for a big January transfer window.
Exactly.
But preview prediction.
But for now, that does it for episode 64 of the Yellow Card Podcast. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, on YouTube, on any other platform that you use for your podcast listening or viewing pleasure. Other than that, make sure to check out CouchGuySports.com. And for now, signing off for the last episode of the year, I think.
Potentially. We have to talk off air.
Yeah, it could potentially be the last episode of the year. But signing off is your host, Diego, and Chris Jones. Until next week, see you guys soon.